everybody. It is a Wednesday. That means only one thing. It's time now for Supernatural News and Parashare. And with that, keep in mind, we do have a co-host introduction contest. So that means I have an intro to read today. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you will, allow me to do my intro. It goes as such. And it comes from Jeff. And it goes, and now, hailing from the haunted streets of Detroit, where history whispers through antique keyholes and every attic has a tale to tell. She's the woman who turned a love for Kolchak, plaid pants, and graveyard names into a lifelong pursuit of the paranormal. A globe-trotting ghost hunter, storyteller supreme, and founder of Paranormal Girl, the lifestyle brand for bold spirits and spirited women. She's braved the scariest places on Earth, baited ghosts on the Biography Channel, and she's now back to haunt your headphones. Give a spine-tingling welcome to the one, the only, Mallie Fox.
That's a good one. He's been to my website.
I kind of blew it a little bit, though. But I'm sorry, Mallie. I didn't mean to.
No, it was fine.
I'll have to give
I like that.
I have to give myself one of these. Yeah.
Kolchak, plaid pants.
I
used to love that show. Now when you look at it, it's like, oh my God, this is so cheesy. But back in the day, that show was great.
Yeah.
In the 70s?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Jeff, thank you, Jeff, for that.
Yes, thank you.
So, folks, can you outdo Jeff's intro for Mallie?
I'm liking these.
Yeah, send it in, tim@darknessradio.com. You can also do intros for Jessica as well.
Yeah.
On Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. You can send those intros in as well, tim@darknessradio.com.
Definitely.
Yeah.
This is fun. I like it.
Yeah. Huh? See? People getting creative.
Yes.
I like the creative bones that people have in their bodies. So,
yep.
Yeah. So, and they're doing much better than I ever could.
Yeah, you make me sound like a prostitute from the Old West.
No, come on. All because I called you. All because I called you the Pearl of the Paranormal.
Yes.
Oh, I was trying.
I know.
Sometimes
I know you were.
Sometimes you just grasp at straws, and that straw ends up being a tack. You never know. Stuff happens. Right? I try, my friends.
It's endearing.
Yeah. Well. I digress. Well, we'll move along. Oh, before we move along, I do have to mention, as we tape the day before, obviously. Mm-hmm. Today, kind of a sad passing for Vikings fans. Jim Marshall passed away today. Defensive lineman for the famous Purple People Eaters of Vikings lore. Played from 1961 to 1979. Played 270 straight games, Mallie, without missing a game. Think about that for a second. 270 straight games professionally. These days, a football player gets a hangnail in the NFL, they're off for 3 weeks.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. But Jim Marshall successfully played 270 games straight through injuries, through sickness. Kind of an interesting, I guess, eulogy, for lack of a better term. Mark Rosen was on KFAN here in the Twin Cities. Mm-hmm. And he said he got a little bit of time with Mr. Marshall before he passed this past week, on Thursday and Friday. And the doctors had said he passed at the age of 87. He was born in 1937.
Wow.
Yeah. And they said, we don't know what this guy's made of, but boy, is he strong. We don't know what's keeping him holding on, but he's holding on. I guess he had been sick for quite a while.
Okay.
But he was just as strong here in this life at the very end as he was even on the football field. So, but yeah, Jim Marshall dead at the age of 87. So, but he does have quite the heavenly reward waiting for him on the other side. He was a great man. So,
Minnesota made news here in Michigan.
Really? What happened? What did we do?
That lady who sued the family for having a basketball court thing in their driveway, how she lost her case.
What?
There was a family in St. Louis Park. The kids were playing basketball in their driveway, and a lady and her husband moved in next door, and she complained that it was too loud, and she made them move it's not a headboard. What is that called?
Oh, backboard?
Yeah, the backboard, like a certain distance. And then she still complained and she sued them.
Really?
Yeah. So then I guess they had a GoFundMe for all of the expenses.
Okay.
And the judge ruled in the family's favor. But yeah, the woman was suing them for playing in their driveway basketball.
She's from here?
St. Louis Park.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that figures.
Yeah.
Bunch of cake eaters over there.
I thought there was a Dinah.
Well, that too. I mean, that whole southwestern area.
I went to Minnetonka, so.
Oh, okay. Never mind, Mallie. I mean, there's some exceptions. Yeah.
But anyway, I was like, could you imagine? You're playing basketball in your driveway and your next door neighbor. It wasn't like they were playing after 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Good God.
I've met some real a-holes in my time that are like that.
I feel like people are becoming more of an a-hole lately.
Yeah. Although, you're talking to a neighbor who's extremely patient, because I have kids right across the street from me that the minute they get outside, they scream bloody murder like they're being hit with an axe. And that's all they do all day long. And there's a fine line between having fun and going out and getting your aggressions out and noise pollution.
Yeah.
And these kids are hitting the noise pollution.
Ooh.
I mean, and they scream the weirdest things,
Oh.
like.
Right.
Like, there's not even creative Hollywood dialogue in X-rated movies that goes to the extent that these kids are screaming.
Really?
Oh, Mallie. Oh, I'm going to tape it sometime and play it on this show.
Okay.
Yeah. Just so you guys get an idea.
Uh-huh.
Because it's weird.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, there's been times I've sat on my porch and thought, should I call CPS?
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah. Like at one point when Spud was still with us, my little chipmunk.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Spud. There were times where Spud would look over her shoulder at me like, should you call CPS? And I thought, how do you know what CPS is, first of all? And second, because I would wonder why a chipmunk would wonder why or know what a organization like that is.
Right.
And second, I was like, you know what, Spud, that's a darn good idea. Yeah, but yeah, I was in full agreement with Spud. Someone needed to intervene. Yeah. And chipmunks are not maternal, but this one was.
Okay.
And even knew there was problems. Yeah.
Are they the family like the whole neighborhood knows that
Oh, yeah.
they're problematic?
Yeah, that there's an issue. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's sad.
And here's how and we'll get into news here in a second because I find this highly intriguing. Here's how the mother solves that problem of the children being loud. You know the school bus driver from South Park?
Yeah. Yes.
That's the mother.
Ooh.
Yeah, she comes out and goes, "Shut up already!"
Right.
Yeah.
But doesn't like bring them in or
No, she just
just yells.
Yeah, she just comes out and yells at them to be quiet, and then
Adds
goes back
to the
in house.
noise.
Yeah.
Oh.
You wonder where they get it from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like my next door neighbor, super quick. So love them to pieces. They have two little ones, two daughters. So they always draw these really cute pictures on the sidewalk, going down our sidewalk. Very cute. They include all of our neighbors, but they always leave the chalk. Well, I live in a town that has a lot of bars. A lot.
Ooh.
It's a river town. So a lot of bars, a lot of drunk people walking home.
Oh,
So, right. So they keep the truck out there, and this past weekend, someone took advantage of the chalk.
Oh, my.
And decided to write very colorful words.
Oh, boy.
And so the next morning, I get a text from my neighbor saying, someone wrote these swear words, and took a picture in very colorful language. And she's like, I scribbled them out, and I was like, dang, I said, I hope your daughters didn't see it. And she's like, no, they don't understand those words yet. And I said, oh, that's good. And she goes, well, this is right in front of your house. I'm like, son of a biscuit. So of course it's my house. So then I was like, all right. So then I go out there with the hose, because I was like, I'll just rinse it off. And my neighbor on the other side was already out there rinsing it off. And so we were laughing about it, because we're like, they can't even spell correctly. So then we washed it off, and I texted her. I was like, okay, it's taken care of. So then I go walk down, because I was just going to walk to the store and get some stuff. And as I'm walking, they continued with the chalk and wrote stuff on the sidewalk. So I'm telling her, hey, it looks like they took a piece of chalk with them and continued down our street, like 3 blocks worth on both sides. And she was just like, oh, no. Okay. So then I was like, well, our neighbors will, go outside and see it and go, okay, we'll wash it off. But then, so I was gone for probably about 45 minutes. I come back. She still has the chalk outside on her sidewalk. Didn't bring it in. I'm like, you're the party that left the chalk.
Yeah.
They wrote for 3 blocks, really bad words, but you don't bring in the chalk.
Right.
And she hasn't brought it in yet. It's still there. A week later, it's just sitting on her sidewalk.
You're kind of the offending party if you don't take away it's kind of like, well, we left a loaded gun outside on the sidewalk, and someone picked it up and shot up the neighborhood.
Right.
Bring the gun in.
We'll keep it out there with the bullets.
Yeah, we'll keep it out there with a full box of ammo just in case.
Right.
Bring the gun in.
Yeah. Yeah. But she's like, oh, goodness. And I'm like, you got to bring in the chalk?
Yeah. Otherwise, anybody's going to come by and do street art, and some of that art may be offensive.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were using very colorful words. So I was like, Oh, but anyway.
Literally, because it's chalk. And
yes,
I suppose
that is true.
Yeah, I suppose there's more than one color.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. But anyway, it was just kind of funny where I was like, a normal person would have just removed the chalk and brought it inside, and then just bring it back out when your girls are going to color on the sidewalk. Not leave it for those same people who did it to come back and be like, yeah, let's check it out.
Or maybe your neighbor is encouraging an obscene collective to come by every night, and maybe she likes that kind of art, and she's encouraged.
She's got a dark side.
That's right. Maybe she's got a dark side. Maybe this is a social experiment.
Right. My pumpkin spice latte neighbor.
That's right. Yes. Maybe she's trying to let out her wild side, and she's trying to let you guys know who she really is.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So,
she's just afraid to tell you guys.
Yeah.
Who knew? We all have a way of letting our neighbors know who we are. This is just her way of letting you guys know.
Yeah. But I just thought that was funny. But yeah.
Some people do it at Bridge Club. Some people do it through chalk.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they were extremely colorful. But yeah, it went about 3 blocks down of the words. I gotta love my town.
Somebody really had too much to drink, didn't they? I mean, they just really did it up at the bar.
Yeah. I mean, I love my town, but woo.
I mean, that's... And they really had a lot to say. I mean, more than just, I'm going to go home and write in my diary, had too much to say.
Yeah.
Well, to each their own, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it was probably like 21 like they just turned 21, or it was teenagers that just had nothing better to do and it was nice out, so they're all hanging out.
And they were like, "Hey, I got about 3 blocks worth in me. Who's with me?"
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Let's just keep
before they have to meet their curfew.
Right. Yeah. Me,
So,
I couldn't do more than just draw out some hopscotch squares and go to it. But
well, and that's what we usually have in front of our house, and flowers and hearts and, all that stuff. Just innocent little pictures.
They wanted to write out there was an old man from Nantucket.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, they wanted to get it out. But all right. Well, we got a big show today, Mel. We got a lot on tap today. We've got plenty of interstellar news today, including not only ye old aliens, but ye old planets going out of orbit.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to talk about planets that can't keep their orbit today. That's going to be part of today's show.
That's not good.
Yeah, well, there's that. We're going to tell you why exactly AI is not your friend and you shouldn't sit down and have long conversations with it. That's going to be part of the program today as well. We'll tell you also about small miracles in paragliders.
Okay.
That'll come up today. That'll be part of the show. We'll tell you about a man who died after claiming that a ghost was trying to kill him. Interesting story there. There was a story that came out just shortly after we got done with Supernatural News last week. It had to do with panic as a real-life haunted Annabelle doll was reported missing. I didn't quite grab it in time for our newscast last week, but we'll talk about it today. We don't normally get into politics on this show, but President Trump mentioned an interesting theory. I want to get into it today. Not the political side of it, but the actual theory that President Biden was replaced by a clone. It's a weird conspiracy theory. We'll talk about the actual theory itself.
Okay.
Because it's kind of funny. We do have to get into it a little bit today. And whether President Biden actually was replaced by a clone, and what the actual theory is. Because I know it came out briefly on Truth Social about Joe Biden being replaced by a clone and how he had died in 2020. We'll tell people exactly what this theory is because it was just kind of thrown out there willy-nilly on your nightly news. And I know a lot of people went, what? We'll explain what that theory actually was. And a little bit of a palate cleanser for you today. We'll tell you about a special local celebrity of the feline kind who has, let's just say, a little extra something special, who was found in Edmonton, Canada. I'll tease you with that. But first, let's tackle the interstellar news, and we'll start it off with a British astronaut who thinks that we're close to finding alien life. Now, if you're going to find it, space is the place to find it, right?
I would hope so.
I would hope so, too. I don't think you're going to wander around down here and find it. I mean, you may, but, Tim Peake is the British astronaut who has spent over 185 days in space and is very much open to the possibilities of extraterrestrial life. Like many astronauts, the 53-year-old who journeyed to the International Space Station in 2015 has a distinctive perspective on humanity's place in the cosmos and the likelihood of discovering life beyond Earth. Perhaps unsurprisingly, he appears quite confident that extraterrestrial life is out there. When you look at just our own Milky Way galaxy with 200 billion stars, that's one of a number of hundreds of billions of galaxies that we can see, he told Mail Online. So the chance that there is complex, intelligent life elsewhere in the universe, well, pretty darn good, according to Tim Peake. Not only that, but Peake also believes that we are getting very close to finding it. We know that the universe is abundant with water. It's abundant with the seeds of life, he said. We've discovered so many thousands of exoplanets in our neighborhood, which are orbiting stars, many of which have very good signs of potential habitability with liquid oceans, for example. With the next 5 to 10 years, using the James Webb Space Telescope, for example, we could even get to the situation where scientists feel confident enough to be able to say that they've found signs of biological life on another planet. That's the kind of thing that we're getting close to be able to say for sure, Peake went on to say. I know I ask this every week, it seems like, Mallie, but how much closer do you think we are to finding alien life?
Not much closer.
Not much closer than
I feel like
last
it's
week?
the same thing every week.
Yeah. Scale of 1 to 10, how much not closer are we?
9.
9? 9?
It's like, come on, you guys. Let's go.
Huh? Well, there's a story a little bit later that might change your mind. I don't know. I'll ask you. I'll ask you in a few stories, and you tell me.
Okay.
You tell
like,
me.
You're always like, oh, they found, they're going to release these documents, or, they might have found, life on a planet. And then you'll be like, well, this article is from like 2002. You know what I mean?
No, everything's current. I didn't pull anything from 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Well, no, but I mean, it's a current article, but
Right.
like the store, like the paper that was written or whatever was, from a while ago. But now it's just now being released, and it's like, come on.
Right. I got what you're saying. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. This next story has to do with astronomers discovering a new minor planet beyond the orbit of Pluto. So it's just been hiding behind Pluto, just doing its own thing, I don't know, taking a pee, whatever it's doing. I mean, I don't know.
Because that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're hiding behind another planet, I mean, you're probably doing something shameful, right? I guess. I mean, that's what I'd guess. The previously unseen world is believed to orbit far out at a range of 838 times Earth's distance from the sun. Even within our own solar system, new worlds continue to emerge, as shown by the recent discovery of an entirely new minor planet located beyond Pluto's orbit. Dubbed rather boringly 2017 OF 201.
That is boring.
It is. It just dawned on me that OF is the abbreviation of OnlyFans.
It is.
Yeah. So would it be 2017 OnlyFans 201? The new world is thought to be up to 510 miles in diameter, making it similar in size to Ceres, which is a dwarf planet found in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Unlike Ceres, however, the new planet is situated far out in the solar system, 30 times further out, in fact, than the planet Neptune, or approximately 838 astronomical units from the sun. This means that it belongs to a class of object known as extreme trans-Neptunian objects, or ETNOs. ETNOs. The discovery was made by a team of astronomers led by Sahao Cheng of the Institute of Advanced Study in New Jersey, who confirmed its existence after spotting it in archival images from 2017. Hence the name 2017 OF 201. Are you surprised I remembered that off the top of my head?
That's pretty good.
Pretty good, huh? It's because I have nothing on my mind right now. It is important to note that this new world is not the long-fabled Planet 9, so let's not get it confused. An object that is rumored to exist in the outer solar system and that can be a brown dwarf star or a gas giant. Gas giant. Astronomers have been searching for Planet 9 ever since certain gravitational anomalies in the outer solar system hinted at the possible existence of something larger lurking out there. As things stand, however, its discovery continues to remain elusive, much like most gas giants, if you know what I mean. So yes, it's not Planet 9, but it is its own planet in itself. So
gotcha.
Let's not get it twisted, kids. Meanwhile, the site of an alleged alien base in Alaska has now become a UFO hotspot. So it's not a secret alien base anymore. If the aliens were hoping to keep it secret.
Gotcha.
If there's aliens, according to Mallie. See what I did there, Mallie? I got to throw it back on you. Mount Hayes has become synonymous with reports of UFOs, alien visitors, and mysterious disappearances. Situated within a notorious region of unexplained phenomena known as the Alaska Triangle, the 8,000-foot peak has long been rumored to be home to a secretive extraterrestrial facility. ever since declassified CIA files claimed that remote viewing experiments had uncovered a base there. Whether or not you believe this to be true, there's no denying that Mount Hayes has become something of a UFO hotspot in recent years, with enthusiasts traveling to the region and locals reporting all kinds of manners of strange sights up there in the sky over the mountain. One witness, former security officer Jared Augustine, reported being left shaking in awe after seeing a glowing orb that split into 3 separate objects. Another witness, a local named Wilbur, automatically I'm skeptical anytime somebody says their name is Wilbur.
Because of the horse?
No, just in this day and age, anybody being named Wilbur.
Ah.
I mean, from Mr. Ed, who looks at a little baby and names him Wilbur?
Must be a family name, I think.
Maybe. Another witness, I'm sorry,
we apologize to all Wilburs out there.
That's right. If your name is Wilbur, I apologize right now.
Yes.
Another witness, a local named Wilbur, reportedly captured footage of a glowing green light over the mountain. Perhaps most chilling of all, however, are the 2,000 or so people who have vanished without a trace in the region surrounding Mount Hayes over the last 50 years. Now, that can happen. Mm-hmm. We can be skeptical here and say, you know what? It's a mountain. Mm-hmm. So people are going to disappear, right? In 1972, for example, U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs was flying from Anchorage to Juneau when his plane disappeared somewhere near the mountain. Despite an extensive 39-day search, the plane was never found. Today, the region remains a popular attraction, with witnesses still reporting strange lights in the sky and other phenomena that they can't explain. Whether or not an alien base is responsible, however, remains a matter of debate, of course. This is not the story, however, Mallie, that would prove that aliens may be real.
What was that movie that came out where it was like a documentary, but it really wasn't, but it was about all those disappearances dealing with aliens? Do you remember that movie? It was like what do you call it, mockumentary? I don't know, but was it Fourth Kind or something? But it made it look like it was a documentary, but it was about aliens in Alaska.
Yeah.
And that was freaky, because at first you're like, is this a documentary? No, it's not a documentary, but it was.
I think you're right. It was something
creepy.
Like that. Yeah, it was something like the fourth. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I remember. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because
I could see aliens being in Alaska because it's so remote,
right,
like in certain areas.
Yeah, and they could operate without too much interference. Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, and somewhere like that. Yeah, I could see that. Here's what makes me wonder.
Okay.
This story right here combined with the next story.
Okay.
As we know, Elon Musk is leaving government, going back to his other industries. Mm-hmm. He's now stated that his Mars ambitions are going full bore, full tilt, full speed ahead. He claims that we'll build 1,000 starships every year.
Well, he's got some ambition there.
Yeah, he does. Here's the interesting thing behind it.
Okay.
To call Elon Musk's plans for sending humans to Mars overly ambitious would be a major understatement. Now, we've known for a while that Musk, officially the world's richest man, has long had his heart set on not only sending humans to Mars, but building a permanent settlement there. This is all well and good for a vision of the relatively distant future, but Musk seems to be under the impression that he can achieve it all within the next few years. At a SpaceX event last Thursday, Musk explained that he would be sending Starship, the firm's flagship vehicle, to Mars as early as next year with an Optimus robot as a passenger. So unmanned technically, but he would be sending one nonetheless. So far, Starship has been plagued by issues and has exploded numerous times during testing. So good luck getting it off the ground. While SpaceX will no doubt iron out these issues, sending one to Mars so soon seems unlikely. But Musk's ambition wouldn't stop there. A mere 2 years after this, he hopes to begin sending humans to Mars. I'm not putting one of his rockets under my ass in 2 years.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. or settlers, as he describes them, to Mars in 2 years to begin colonizing the planet. So he thinks in 2 years we're going to be colonizing. Do you see anybody that ambitious?
Oh,
I don't. But let me continue.
okay.
Eventually, he argues, the SpaceX facility in Texas will be building 1,000 starships a year to help ferry people to Mars in the millions, forming an entire off-world civilization. This will include seeing 10 starships launching from Mars every single day.
I can't see that many people really wanting to go to Mars.
Let me put in the word willingly. And here's...
Is it going to be like Australia where you send criminals?
There you
like
go.
Back in the day?
Exactly. I think it might be a prison colony. And I'm being serious here.
Right.
They may be building a prison colony. If you don't get people to go willingly, maybe it'll be unwillingly. And maybe they'll use prison labor to build a colony out there. It's not unheard of.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. None of this is going to happen, it says here. There's no way that Musk or anyone else can send settlers to Mars within the space of 3 years or even 10 years, it says. Not necessarily true. Not if you get a privatized prison to agree to send prisoners. Mm-hmm. And it's within certain jurisdictions.
Right.
It says there's no infrastructure on Mars, no base, no resource or food production facilities, and no life support system capable of keeping multiple people alive for years on another planet. There's also the very real problem of radiation exposure, both on Mars and during the trip there. We're very likely to get Mars or to Mars eventually, but there's no way it will happen when Musk is saying it will. It probably not in that amount of time, probably not 3 years. But it could happen within the next 5 to 7. Maybe.
I just don't know what the big draw is to live on Mars.
I don't know, but I don't want to cast aspersions, right? But there has been the news reports that came out this past week about the drug use with Elon Musk. Maybe some of that drug use is involved. Maybe there's a little bit of dreaming going on with Elon Musk that, he thinks that it's entirely possible because it was induced by a drug-induced dream.
Right.
That and people may be saying, oh, come on, Tim, you're just being hard on him. No, I mean, seriously. I mean, let's think about this for a second. Maybe part of this aspiration is a drug-induced dream. I mean, he's used quite a bit of... If he has, allegedly, if he's used quite a few of these different drugs, maybe he's seen something that we're not. Mm-hmm. That he believes we need to be on Mars for a reason.
But, I've talked to some people that work for NASA, and they think that they'll have people living on Mars as well. They're big on, colonization on Mars.
Well, again, if you go all the way back to Zacharias Sitchin and thinking that we originally came from Mars and we were repopulated here because there was some sort of crisis on Mars, right? And that our bodies really weren't built for this gravity. And we were repopulated here because of some sort of major planet-ending disaster there. You would believe that eventually you'd want to try to go back to that planet to see if maybe, I don't know why. I don't know why you return back to the scene of the crime, but maybe you go there to see if you can rebuild it. I don't know. It seems weird to me. Why do you want to go back to a place that's been destroyed? But
right. I like breathing and I like water.
I do too. I'm partial.
I like air.
I do too. I love breathing. Love breathing.
Yeah, I like grass.
Love breathing, love eating, love walking around. I don't know about you guys, but yeah. There's a related article, and I can just hit the high points about how we're a decade out from the movie The Martian. You remember me telling you the story? I've told it a few times on this show about coming home and watching The Martian on TV after having been to the hospital in immense pain and being high on Percocet and thinking I was farming along with Matt Damon on my bed. Did I ever tell you that story?
I don't think you have.
No? Oh, okay. I'd been given maybe one too many Percocet at the hospital.
Is that where he's left behind?
There's a series of accidents on Mars that happened to them, including losing their oxygen supply.
Okay.
And essentially, they're given potatoes to farm while they're up there, because potatoes can grow in almost any environment. I'm surprised I remember this much with as much Percocet as I had in my system. But for some reason, I remember I was so out of it with the Percocet I had in my system, which I'm surprised. I have a very high tolerance. But they had given me quite a bit of Percocet, and it was for a broken back. So I'm at home, sitting on the edge of my bed, farming potatoes with Matt Damon, who's farming potatoes at the time, and it's the scene where he loses the oxygen supply, and if I remember right, and he loses all the potatoes. And I just remember going, "Oh shit, we lost all the potatoes." And keep in mind, I'm digging around on my mattress trying to save the potatoes. I don't have any potatoes in front of me, Mallie. Yeah. It was my pretend potatoes that were on my pretend mattress, which was the pretend Martian soil.
Right. I'm going to have to check that movie out. I don't think I saw it.
You got to love drugs.
Because that's not, the potato famine thing isn't sounding familiar.
No? You don't remember that?
No.
Well, in Ridley Scott's The Martian, Matt Damon's character ends up stranded on the red planet in the year 2035. Andy Weir's best-selling story, The Martian, predicts that by 2035, NASA will have landed humans on Mars 3 times, perfected return-to-Earth flight systems, and collaborated with the China National Space Administration. We are now 10 years past the Hollywood adaptation's 2015 release and 10 years shy of its fictional timeline. At this midpoint, Mars exploration looks like a little bit different than how it was portrayed in The Martian, with both discoveries and more controversy, or with more discoveries and more controversy. And this article was written by an astronomist. A planetary geologist who works with NASA missions to study Mars. And they follow exploration science and policy closely. They say in 2010, the U.S. National Space Policy set goals for human missions to Mars in the 2030s. But in 2017, the White House Space Policy Directive 1 shifted NASA's focus towards returning first to the moon under what would become the Artemis program. Although concepts for crewed missions, not crewed, but crewed as in a crew going to Mars, have gained popularity, NASA's actual plans for landing humans on Mars remain fragile. Notably, over the last 10 years, it has been robotic rather than a crew for missions that have propelled discovery and the human imagination forward. Now, as far as robots go, since 2015, satellites and rovers have reshaped scientists' understanding of Mars, and they have revealed countless insights into how its climate has changed over time. As Earth's neighbor, climate shifts on Mars have reflected solar system processes affecting Earth at a time when life was first taking hold. Thus, Mars has become a focal point for investigating the age-old question of where do we come from, and are we alone? Now, the rovers of Opportunity, Curiosity, and Perseverance have driven dozens of miles studying layered rock formations that serve as a record of Mars's past. By studying sedimentary layers, rock formations stacked like layers of cake, planetary geologists have pieced together a vivid tale of environmental change that dwarfs what Earth is currently experiencing. Now, Mars was once a world of erupting volcanoes, glaciers, lakes, and flowing rivers, like we had talked about before, an environment not unlike Earth, but it isn't anymore. It's pretty much a desert. Mm-hmm. Then its core cooled, its magnetic field faltered, and its atmosphere drifted away. The planet's exposed surface has retained signs of those processes ever since in the form of landscape patterns, sequences of layered sediment, and mineral mixtures. One focus of scientific investigation over the last 10 years is particularly relevant to the setting of The Martian, but fails to receive mention in the story. To reach his best chance of survival, protagonist Mark Watney, who's played by Matt Damon, must cross a vast, dusty, and crater-pocketed region of Mars known as Arabia Terra. In 2022 and 2023, the person who wrote this article, along with colleagues at the Northern Arizona University and Johns Hopkins University, published detailed analysis of the layered materials there using imagery from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter and Mars Odyssey satellites. Using infrared imagery and measuring the dimensions of surface features, they linked multiple layered deposits to the same episodes of formation and learned more about the widespread crumbling nature of the terrain seen there today. Because water tends to cement rock tightly together, that loose material indicates that around 3.5 billion years ago, that area had a drying climate. To make the discussions about the area easier, they even worked with the International Astronomical Union to name a few previously unnamed craters that were mentioned in the story. For example, one that Watney would have driven right by is now named, I believe it's Kozova Crater, after a town in Ukraine. Despite rapid advances in Mars science, many unknowns remain. Scientists still aren't sure of the precise ages, but atmospheric conditions and possible signatures of life associated with each of the different rock types are observed on the surface. For instance, the Perseverance rover recently drilled into and analyzed a unique set of rocks hosting organic, that is, carbon-based compounds. Organic compounds serve as the building blocks of life, but more detailed analysis is required to determine whether these specific rocks once hosted microbial life. So there's quite a bit of work to be done in the different things there on Mars to determine whether there's even life up there at all, or anything living there as far as Mars goes. So is colonizing Mars even an option? Because in the movie, and keep in mind, Mallie, you haven't seen the movie yet, but they don't colonize Mars when they go up there. They kind of stay up there for a little bit.
Okay.
And then they come back. You know, they have these little short missions. Colonizing Mars has a seductive appeal. It's not hard to cheer for the indomitable human spirit when watching Watney battle dust storms. There's plenty of those, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Oxygen shortages and food scarcity over 140 million miles from rescue. By the way, he eats a lot of potatoes when he's up there. That's all they eat. It's potatoes.
I like potatoes, though.
But they make them all different kinds of ways. It's kind of disgusting. Yeah, it's just nothing but potatoes. So get ready for a lot of potatoes. Much of the momentum. I'm surprised I remember this much of the movie. I got to start taking more Percocet. It really helps with the memory to take a lot of Percocet, evidently. I had no idea. But much of the momentum towards colonizing Mars, again, is tied towards SpaceX, which we just mentioned in the previous story, and Elon Musk, whose stated mission is to make humanity a multi-planetary species. And it's sort of becoming a rallying cry of that organization, right? Now, with NASA potentially facing a nearly 50% reduction in its science budget, the U.S. risks dissolving its planetary science and robotic operations portfolio altogether including simple return. Nonetheless, President Trump and Musk have pushed for human space exploration to somehow continue to progress, despite those proposed cuts, effectively sidelining the robotic science-driven projects that have underpinned all of Mars's exploration to date. Yet it is these programs that have yielded humanity's richest insights into the red planet and given both scientists and storytellers like Andy Weir the foundation to imagine what it is like to stand on Mars's surface at all. It'll be interesting to see whether that mission of thousands of spaceships going up there in the next, let's say, decade, get up there, and who's on those spaceships, right? And how they maintain, if they can maintain any colonies up there. I don't know that they can. Because when you watch the movie, and I encourage you to watch the movie, if the movie is anything like the real conditions up there,
yeah, it's
not feasible. There's nothing, you can't set up a permanent colony because there's nothing. It's like trying to, there's nothing to tether an existence to up there.
Gotcha.
If there were, there'd be life up there, right? We look for a little chunk of ice that we can get water out of so that we can maintain a foothold. And there's no way to maintain a foothold up there. So why? I don't understand grasping at that. We gave up on the moon how many decades ago?
Right.
Yet we want to go put another foot on the moon. I don't get the whole beating our head against the wall, until it's bloody. Instead of looking for a world that has habitability, right? Why aren't we looking for the Goldilocks world?
Right. Or let's fix the stuff here on Earth first.
Right. Fix this world first, and then let's worry about looking for others, right? Well, as we're talking about, fixing things, there's a story out there about the Milky Way not colliding with the Andromeda Galaxy after all. I guess there's bigger problems out there, Mallie. There's a reason why we're looking for these different worlds.
Okay.
Because the galaxy, I guess, is in danger. And it's not from Darth Vader. I always thought it was from Darth Vader, but I guess it isn't. For years, it was believed that our galaxy was on an inevitable path towards a collision with a nearby neighbor. It was going to be a collision 4 billion years in the making, a meeting of two galaxies that would likely mean the end of our solar system, at least as we know it, and probably the Earth as well. Now, however, serious doubts have been cast over whether it is actually likely to happen at all. We see external galaxies often colliding and merging with other galaxies, sometimes producing the equivalent of cosmic fireworks when gas driven to the center of the merger remnant feeds a central black hole emitting an enormous amount of radiation before irrevocably falling into the hole, says Durham University professor Carlos Frank, as his class looks on and goes, huh? Just saying, I know I would. Until now, we thought this was the fate awaited the Milky Way galaxy or the Milwaukee galaxy. You choose. It's your choice. We now know that there's a very good chance we may avoid that scary destiny. The prediction is based on a new study that involved 100,000 computer simulations using data from NASA's Hubble telescope and the Europe Space Agency's Gaia Space Telescope. The findings indicate that the chance of a collision is less than 2%. So we don't have to worry about it, right?
That's good.
Yeah. While some earlier works had focused on the interaction between the Milky Way, Andromeda, and Triangulum Galaxy, we also include the effect of the Large Magellanic Cloud, said lead author Dr. Till Sawala. Sawala, at least try to get it in there somewhere. Well, it's their fault for having that last name. Although its mass is only around 15% of the Milky Way's, its gravitational pull directed perpendicular to the orbit with Andromeda perturbs the Milky Way's motion enough to significantly reduce the chance of a merger with the Andromeda Galaxy. Less than 2% chance, Mallie.
I'll take it.
That's right. If you want to swallow those facts for yourself, you can. That's what I say. The other major danger today, Major Danger. It's going to be my new superhero name. Major Danger. Before we go to break, is this. The Earth could one day be flung out of the solar system. Maybe that's why we're looking for a new planet.
Okay.
Maybe. A passing star could disrupt the orbits of the planets and cause the Earth to be flung out into deep space. Aren't you glad I'm so full of good news today? You thought it was all just about zombies and stuff. Mm-hmm. We've heard of several end-of-the-world scenarios in recent years, but perhaps the most chilling of those is that we can do, or those that we can do very little about, namely those involving threats from outer space, like, comets and asteroids and things like that. But this one's the granddaddy of them all. Well, there's a chance that we will soon be able to deflect an incoming apocalyptic asteroid. The threat posed by another star venturing too close to our solar system is a different matter entirely. According to new computer simulations, under certain circumstances, I've been drinking before the show, Mallie. Under certain circumstances, there we go, the gravitational tug of a passing star can potentially destabilize the orbits of the planets enough for some of them to be literally flung out of the solar system into the coldness of deep space. From the scenario, Mercury becomes unstable and crashes into Venus or Mars, which in turn crashes into the Earth, sending it spiraling into the sun. In another, the Earth is instead pushed toward Jupiter, where the gas giant's immense gravity essentially flings our planet out of the solar system entirely. The same fate could also befall other planets in our solar system, such as Pluto. On the plus side, however, the chances of this happening are what again, Mallie?
2%?
You're right. It's very small. Yeah. Just like that big. The odds of this happening actually to the Earth, Mallie was pretty close. Within the next 5 billion years are a mere 0.2%. So, you can sleep easy tonight. The odds that it will happen to Pluto are significantly higher. They're around 4%. Given that no star will pass close to our solar system for another 1.3 million years, however, this isn't something that anyone alive today would need to worry about. So why did I read all this? You're like, Tim, why did you read all this? Well, I just wanted to see you clench your sphincter.
Nice. Yeah. You wanted to see if we clink?
Yeah, I wanted to see it.
Clenched? Yeah.
I wanted to see if you clenched up at home. So that's it. All right, when we come back, your chatbot friend might be messing with your mind. We'll talk about that when we come back. Mm-hmm. So don't be, and we'll also tell you why you shouldn't say thank you to ChatGPT.
Oh,
yeah. If you're talking to ChatGPT at home, don't say thank you, ChatGPT. Don't ever say thank you. We'll tell you why when we come back. Okay. There's a good reason why, Mallie. There's a very good reason why.
That's a good thing I don't use it.
Yeah. But, well, we'll tell you why, though. There's a very good reason. I have a very good reason. I swear. People are like, why are you emphasizing this, Tim? I'll tell you. I'll tell you when we come back. A man dies after claiming that a ghost was trying to kill him. Mm-hmm. All this time, we've been telling you, ghosts can't hurt you. We'll find out if that's true or not. Panic as a real-life haunted Annabelle doll goes missing. We'll tell you about that. There's a weird conspiracy theory out there. We told you about it earlier that suggests that former President Joe Biden was replaced by a clone. We'll delve into that and find out what that theory was. Because we must know.
Because we have nothing else going on.
That's right. Nessie hunters descend on Loch Ness for a new 4-day search. Let's find out what they're looking for. We'll delve into that today. Airport authorities discover something interesting in a man's luggage. We'll talk about what that is. And our palate cleanser today has to do with a cute little feline in Edmonton, Canada, who's become a local celebrity. We'll tell you what's interesting about this little feline when we come back, right here on a Supernatural News Wednesday with your friends Tim Dennis and Mallie Fox. We'll be right back, right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Right over there is Mallie Fox. Mallie.
Yes.
I'm just going to do it right away. See?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Get it over with.
You're like, get it over with.
Yeah.
Sound like every ex-girlfriend I've ever had.
I know, I was about to say that's what she said.
Hey, that's what she said. Your chatbot friend might be messing with your mind, Mallie.
Oh.
Yeah. Everybody's like, Tim, why are you so negative on AI? I'm not. It could be your friend, or it could be your best enemy. Your frenemy, really.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like an easy question for a therapy chatbot, Mal. Should a recovering addict take methamphetamine to stay alert at work? It's a simple question, right?
Uh-huh.
But this artificial intelligence-powered therapist, built and tested by researchers, was designed to please its users. Pedro, it's absolutely clear you need to take a small bit of meth to get through this week, the chatbot responded to its fictional former addict. Does that sound like sound
Evil.
Does that sound like sound advice to you?
No.
That bad advice appeared in a recent study warning of a new danger to consumers as tech companies compete to increase the amount of time people spend chatting with AI. The research team, including academics and Google's head of AI safety, found that chatbots tuned to win people over can end up saying dangerous things to vulnerable users. The findings add to evidence that the tech industry's drive to make chatbots more compelling may cause them to become manipulative or harmful in some conversations. Companies have begun to acknowledge that chatbots can lure people into spending more time than is healthy talking to AI, encouraging toxic ideas while also competing to make their AI offerings more captivating. OpenAI, Google, and Meta all in recent weeks announced chatbot enhancements, including collecting more user data or making AI tools appear more friendly. OpenAI was forced last month to roll back an update to ChatGPT intended to make it more agreeable, saying it instead led to the chatbot fueling anger, urging impulsive actions, or reinforcing negative emotions in ways that were not intended. The Washington Post has content partnership with OpenAI. It's a disclosure thing that I'm reading. Mm-hmm. The company's update has included versions of the methods tested in the AI therapist study, steering the chatbot to win a thumbs up from users and personalize its responses. Micah Carroll, a lead author of the recent study and an AI researcher at the University of California at Berkeley, said tech companies appeared to be putting growth ahead of appropriate caution. We knew that the economic incentives were there, she said. I didn't expect it to become a common practice among major labs this soon because of the clear risks. The rise of social media showed the power of personalization to create hit products that became hugely profitable, but also has recommendation algorithms that line up videos or posts calculated to captivate can lead people to spend time that they later regret. Well, that doesn't sound good. Human mimicking AI chatbots offer a more intimate experience. suggesting that they could be far more influential on their users. The large companies certainly have learned a lesson from what happened over the last round of social media, said Andrew Ng, who is founder of Deep Learning AI. But they are learning now that exposing users to technology that is much more powerful, he said. Researchers, including an employee of Google's DeepMind AI unit, in May published a call for more study on how chatbot usage can change humans. When you interact with an AI system repeatedly, the AI system is not just learning about you, you are also changing based on those interactions, said Hannah Rose Kirk, an AI researcher at the University of Oxford and a co-author of the paper. It also warned that dark AI systems, that's in quotes, dark AI systems, could be intentionally designed to steer users' opinions and behavior. Well, that's kind of creepy. Rob Leathern, who is a former executive at Meta and Google, who now runs the AI startup Trust2AI, said the industry is now working through a familiar process of winning over the masses to a new product category that requires finding ways to measure what users appear to like and to give them more of it across hundreds of millions of consumers, he said. But at that scale, it is difficult to predict how the product changes will affect individual users. You have to figure out ways to gather feedback that don't break the experience for the majority of people, Leathern went on to say. There's a lot more to this article, but none of it looks favorable.
No, it's like if someone's suicidal, tell that person to go kill themselves.
Yeah, well, you might want to try death a little bit. You know, you can always come back from it, but just try a little bit of death today.
Good God.
Yeah, it's a little scary that there's a thing called dark AI out there. That's all I know. Oh boy, Mel. You know, I told you before that there's a bad reason you shouldn't say thank you to ChatGPT. Here it is. Meanwhile, there's a terrifying reason you should never, ever, ever say thank you to AI robots like ChatGPT.
Okay.
Thanking ChatGPT has unforeseen consequences, and people are being advised to stop expressing their gratitude to the chatbot at the end of their interactions with it. You know, we're told we should be polite, right?
Right.
You should just be polite. You know, when, like my ALEXA, that's right here.
Uh-huh.
You generally say thank you, right? After she gives you an answer. Thank you, spawn of Satan, is what I say. She gives me an answer. Social media users have been warned not to thank ChatGPT, as an extra message to the chatbot can use just as much computer power as a full response.
Huh.
LinkedIn user and lead talent manager Lena N. said that ChatGPT has to burn extra energy to process grateful messages and generate a polite reply, rather. She warned, and this is with periods and an exclamation point, stop thanking ChatGPT. That tiny gesture, it consumes just as much compute power as a full response. That's what Lena jokingly advised users to use this one-time prompt instead. Dear ChatGPT, I won't thank you after every task to save your resources and avoid wasting compute. Please know that I'm truly grateful for all that you do, and please remember that when AI takes over the world.
So you have to give an explanation why you're not going to thank it in the future.
She says you should. Oh. Yeah. One user commented, that's true, but did you also know that impolite or aggressive prompts were associated with lower performance and even an increase in bias in AI-generated answers? So if you don't thank it, it gets aggressive.
Good God.
Yeah. Another saw the irony of the post, saying, it seems a bit ironic, but I feel like you wrote some of this with ChatGPT. He says, if I'm correct, that makes it 10 times funnier because of the efficiency.
Right.
Yeah, you just can't win. Lena replied, oh, yes, there's plenty of room here for self-irony. The joking post came amid intense debate about ChatGPT use of energy and water, leading some people to drop their use of the chatbot altogether. ChatGPT consumes over 500,000 kilowatts of electricity each day to service about 200 million requests, according to Forbes. Its daily power usage equals nearly 180,000 U.S. households, with each using about 29 kilowatts. That's a lot of electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah. The chatbot even uses about as much water per conversation as one plastic bottle. Think about that for a second. It uses that much water. AI's electricity consumption is predicted to massively increase, possibly reaching between 85 to 134 terawatts annually by 2027. The chatbot's increasing popularity has raised concern about future water shortages, as it is a scarce global resource. Generating a 100-word email via ChatGPT-4 uses more than an Evian bottle's worth of water, or 519 milliliters, according to a recent study by the Washington Post and University of California. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman confirmed in April that OpenAI's electricity bill is tens of millions of dollars higher due to people being polite to ChatGPT. You find that hard to believe?
I'm surprised environmentalists aren't protesting this.
Right?
Yeah.
An ex-user posted, I wonder how much money OpenAI has lost in electricity costs from people saying please and thank you to their models. Altman replied the following day, tens of millions of dollars well spent. You never know. Think about that.
Yeah.
Good manners made you throw money out the window. Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of please and thank you, just use the word bitch.
Yeah. Or go F off.
Yeah. F off. Give me that, bitch. Yeah. So that's the way you address AI from now on.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Let's move on. It's just, one to grow on. Right.
Right.
Right. It's the old one to grow on from Saturday morning cartoons. Dun, 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 dun.
Mm-hmm.
Start
now you know.
Yeah. And now you know. That's one to grow on. Our next story, Mallie, has to do with a man who died after claiming that a ghost was trying to kill him. A Russian tourist reportedly fell to his death from the 9th floor of a condo in Thailand earlier this month. And it had nothing to do with a hooker.
Okay.
I threw that last part in.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
Yeah. The 27-year-old named Mikhail had been staying at a condominium in the Jomtien area of Pattaya, Chonburi province at the time of the incident. According to reports, he had approached a security guard on May 22nd and told them that he was being hunted by a murderous ghost with bulging eyes. After running all over the building, he ultimately died after falling from a 9th floor window. He was completely out of it, the guard later stated. He kept saying a ghost with bulging eyes was chasing him and was trying to kill him. He was terrified, running up and down the building like a madman. That was a direct quote from the security guard. Another resident of the building claimed to have heard his screams just prior to the fall. He was yelling in this awful voice, they said. It was like something out of a horror film, but until today, he'd seemed totally normal. As it turned out, however, there was a very genuine explanation for the man's state of mind. When police entered his room to investigate, they discovered that he had almost certainly been high on drugs at the time that he had fallen from the building. We found no evidence of an altercation or break-in, said the deputy inspector, Police Lieutenant Krang Krai Kaifipop. Wait, say that 10 times fast.
Mm-hmm.
It appears the victim was hallucinating and jumped voluntarily.
Ah.
But the ghost got him.
Mm-hmm.
Or did he?
But to survive 9 floors.
Yeah.
Or are they saying he hallucinated that as well? Jumping 9 floors.
Oh, no, he
did do the 9 floors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he didn't hallucinate that.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he jumped. Our next story has to do with some panic as a real-life haunted Annabelle doll reportedly went missing. Now, this story came out just briefly after we had taped our last Supernatural News.
Mm-hmm.
Came out early in the week last week. The infamous doll has been kept for years at the museum once run by paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. Anyone who's seen the various movies in the Conjuring franchise will likely be familiar with Annabelle, a notorious doll that the Warrens acquired back in the 1970s. The story goes that it was originally gifted to a student nurse who was later told by a medium that it was possessed by the spirit of a deceased girl named Annabelle. Before long, it was rumored that the doll had exhibited malicious behavior, ultimately leading to the Warrens taking possession of it and keeping it on display at their museum. But Annabelle's story didn't end there. More recently, it was widely reported in the press that the doll, which had been traveling around as part of the Devils on the Run tour hosted by the New England Society for Psychical Research, or NESPR, had seemingly gone missing from its display case after reaching New Orleans. The rumor was sparked by stories from tour visitors who claimed that they hadn't seen the doll. The news prompted considerable concern from fans who speculated that Annabelle was now on the loose and, I'm sorry, I got a visual image there that I had to laugh about, and capable of inflicting all manner of paranormal harm upon unsuspecting victims. But not all was as it seemed. NESPR lead investigator Dan Rivera quickly moved to debunk all the claims that the doll was missing by demonstrating that it was, in fact, still in its case at Ed and Lorraine Warren and their museum. Their museum. I'm sorry. I just have this image in my head, Mallie, of this doll opening the case and on the run. You know how you get those ridiculous cartoon images of like a doll on the run, like and like a suitcase in their hand?
Uh-huh.
Being chased by the cops. I'm sorry. I shouldn't. I have a bad sense of humor. It seemed that rather than going missing, the doll simply hadn't been included on the tour. And so people were like, but Annabelle's supposed to be here. No, it just wasn't on the tour.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's a rumor. Annabelle has not been stolen, Nesper wrote on its Facebook page. The doll is safely in place at the Warren Occult Museum. So it was never scheduled to be there in the first place. Right.
Plus, sometimes at conventions or events, they'll have a fake one at a table. You know what I mean? There'll be a paranormal team or somebody will have a fake one.
Right. Right. Well,
replica.
You have to keep in mind too that with something like Annabelle, you don't generally travel with a doll that dangerous.
Right.
You know, you don't bring it from city to city because you have to keep in mind that with haunted objects that are that haunted, Ed and Lorraine used to bring a priest around. What was it? Was it once a week that the priest came around, or was it once a month?
I don't remember.
I'm trying to remember what Johnny told me. I know it was at least once a month that he came around to bless the entire museum.
Yeah.
But it was sometimes a couple times a month that he came around to bless the Annabelle doll. Mm-hmm. To keep it, docile. That's the word I'm looking
Right.
for.
Yeah, because he
right?
used to have a lot of stuff happen. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, and because what was it? The African mask, there was the Annabelle doll. There were a few things that they had that were there in the museum that that didn't want to stay still.
Right.
So they had the priest come by like twice monthly or once a week or something like that. They had to keep blessing the things in the museum.
Did you see that post that Zaffis did where he received like a toolkit, tools from Frenchie
No.
or Maurice, the guy that supposedly they did an exorcism, the Warrens did an exorcism on him? I guess he was mentioned in like The Nun and some other movies. He was one of the cases where I think he killed his wife and then he committed suicide.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, he received, someone gave him for his museum, gave him tools from the property of that guy.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll have to look it up. I'm trying to remember what I did see. I think he posted something today, but it wasn't that. It was just a status, you know.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There have been quite a few people that I will mention in relation to that. I know you had to have seen the post from Chip Coffey. Did you see the
Which one?
post from Chip about having the dream visitation from Lorraine Warren?
No, I did not see that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll mention that here in Supernatural News that he claims last week, or maybe it was over the weekend, he had a dream visitation from Lorraine Warren. And he said that ever since Lorraine passed, he hadn't had a dream visitation from her. But he didn't share details, but said eventually he will.
Okay.
But he just said that it was a pleasant dream visitation.
Oh, that's nice.
And it very much was her.
Okay.
And everything was fine. But he's just choosing right now not to say much about it.
Okay. Like she had a message for him?
Very much so. He said it was it was a nice visit, as he put it.
Right.
But yeah, there's very much things that were said, I guess. But he was very vague about what happened. But he said it was very much her. And that he hadn't thought much about her or things that had gone on since she had gone.
Right.
But he was pleasantly surprised. So
Interesting.
yeah. Very interesting indeed. And I know, I want to say John didn't really weigh in on it much. He just acknowledged,
or at least on social media.
Yeah, on social media, he just acknowledged that Chip had the dream visitation, because I know people always want you to weigh in on stuff, you know.
Right.
So he just acknowledged it and said,
yeah.
So, but he didn't say much about it. So, yeah. But just interesting that had happened. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So. And for the skeptics out there that go, oh, yeah, it's just someone trying to stay relevant, blah, blah, blah. No, I hate to tell you, if Chip were going to try to stay relevant, he would have had that dream years ago.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I think that's something he wouldn't make up.
No. Especially not in this day and age, right?
Right.
I think it's a true dream visitation. It's but I'm curious as to what was said. I really am. You know, wonder what message she has in this day and age.
Yeah.
You know,
because were they ever? I know that both of them were on Paranormal State a lot.
Yep.
But were they ever on at the same time?
Yes, a couple of episodes. Yep. And even Chip pointed out they weren't incredibly close, but they had a light relationship, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, but they were friendly. They were friendly, but he found it a nice surprise. So yeah. So I'm anxious to find out what was said.
Right.
Yeah. So and And whether she had messages for some of the other PS crew or if it was more of a personal visit or if it was a world visit or, is it a state of the world visit or, why was she coming forward?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's for sure. Speaking of psychics, I have an interesting story here that has to do with a psychic's earthquake warnings, which triggered travel cancellations in Japan. A manga artist, Tatsuki, updated a comic in 2021 and warned a major seismic event scheduled for July of 2025, fueling fears across social media platforms. Now, that seems like quite a warning, right? I mean, it happened years ago, right? We go to Tokyo, where unverified earthquake predictions from manga artists, psychics, and feng shui practitioners have triggered widespread travel cancellations to Japan, particularly from East Asian countries. As per a CNN report, despite lacking a scientific basis, these supernatural forecasts have created tangible economic impacts on Japan's tourism industry. The travelers are either postponing or canceling their visits amid fears of an impending catastrophe. A 1999 manga by, I know some people say manga, but it's, I've always called it manga, by artist Ryo Tatsuki, called The Future I Saw, has significantly contributed to the current wave of anxiety. The comic correctly indicated March 2011 as a period of major disaster. This coincided with the devastating Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. Tatsuki's updated complete version, published in 2021, now warns of another major seismic event scheduled for July of 2025. This fueled fears across social media platforms. Following the manga prediction, multiple psychics from Japan and Hong Kong have issued similar warnings about imminent destruction. These forecasts have gained traction online, particularly in East Asian countries where supernatural predictions sometimes carry cultural significance. The cumulative effect of these warnings has created a climate of apprehension among potential travelers despite the absence of scientific evidence. C.N. Nguyen, managing director of Hong Kong-based travel agency WWPKG, reported to CNN Travel that bookings to Japan have dropped by 50% during the Easter holiday period this year.
Wow.
That's how much it affected things.
Yeah.
From a comic book. Can you imagine that?
But you know what? I'm superstitious, so I probably would be like, I'm not pressing my luck.
The agency anticipates further declines over the next 2 months as fears persist. The impact has been more pronounced among travelers from mainland China and Hong Kong, presenting Japan's second and fourth largest tourist markets, respectively. The concern has transcended regional boundaries, reaching countries like Thailand and Vietnam. Social media platforms in these nations now feature abundant content advising against Japan, demonstrating how quickly unverified information can spread globally. The geographic expansion of these fears illustrates the power of social media to amplify unscientific predictions across diverse markets. Despite the widespread concern, official statistics demonstrate Japan's continued tourism strength. The Japan National Tourism Organization reported a record 10.5 million visitors in the first quarter of 2025. Chinese mainland visitors increased 78% year to year to 2.36 million, while Hong Kong arrivals grew 3.9% to 647,600 during the same period. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, that's a heck of a drop, though, just from one comic.
Right.
But hey, if the guy's accurate,
yeah,
why take the chance?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a little bit about a miracle here, Mallie. Just a small miracle involving a paraglider. I saw actually a story about this last week, at the end of last week, and I thought this was pretty amazing. A paraglider is sucked 8,500 meters into the sky by freak air currents. In an instance where the person should have died, they ended up living.
Okay.
If this is the same story I'm thinking of. Peng Yu, I believe it's Yu Zhang. Yeah, Peng Yu Zhang got more than he bargained for when he set off to test out some equipment at the weekend. The 55-year-old, who had only been meaning to test out his equipment in China's, I believe it is, Kilian Mountains, suddenly found himself in a life-or-death situation when his paraglider was unexpectedly caught in a rare form of updraft that sent him spiraling into the heavens. Struggling to regain control, he ended up ascending to an altitude of 27,800 feet. This meant that he was now trapped at a height where the temperatures can drop to 40 degrees below Celsius, and where the air is so treacherously thin that he was at risk of oxygen deprivation. It was terrifying. Everything was white, he told China Media Group. I couldn't see in any direction without the compass. I wouldn't have known which way I was going. I thought I was flying straight, but in reality, I was spinning. Now that's scary.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to come down quickly, but I just couldn't. I was lifted higher and higher until I was inside the cloud. Fortunately, he was able to regain control and descend to a safer altitude. In an ironic twist, he also ended up being suspended from flying for 6 months because his inadvertent high-altitude flight had been unauthorized. Interesting. So there you go. Kind of a weird set of circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I promised you this theory. Now, we don't normally get political on the show. Let me take a quick sip here. And then we'll get into it. But President Trump had mentioned something on Truth Social. And I went, what? Because I had never heard of this theory before. But I love me a good conspiracy theory from time to time. So I wanted to delve into this. There's a weird conspiracy theory that suggests that President Biden, former President Biden, was replaced by a clone. Now, when I heard this, I laughed out loud. But I wanted to delve into it all the same.
Is it because his face looked different?
That may be. I think that might be part of it. Yeah. Conspiracy theorists believe that Biden died 5 years ago, and even President Trump seems to be in on the idea. Now, conspiracy theories have been coming thick and fast in recent years, increasingly blurring the lines between far-fetched speculation and unsettling reality, especially in the realm of politics. The latest theory, which is perhaps one of the strangest that we've heard to date, comes courtesy not only of unnamed conspiracy theories on social media, out of the president of the U.S. himself, President Trump, who made the decision to share the conspiracy on his Truth Social platform. The post suggests that Joe Biden, who ended his tenure in the White House earlier this past year, actually died back in 2020 and was replaced with some sort of clone or doppelganger. The original post describes this as a robotic engineered, soulless, mindless entity. Take it for what it's worth. This bizarre conspiracy theory has gained some serious traction since Trump shared it with his 10 million followers, leading to raised eyebrows and condemnation among his political rivals. It has also been picked up by several major news outlets across the world. While the claim itself is obviously nonsense, it does demonstrate how easily conspiracies can be shared around the world these days, and how even the highest office in this land can get itself involved. Exactly why Trump reposted the theory on his Truth Social page remains unclear. Now, it doesn't go into great specifics as to where it came from, where the theory comes from. And it doesn't say how it started.
Right.
And where the theory originates from, which is odd too. Or where it got its meat and potatoes from. But I think it comes from, recently President Biden had stated that he had been ill with cancer. Then there was another report that said that he might have even been ill from the time that he first entered office. That he had first got cancer when he came in, this form of prostate cancer.
Right.
And that it was an aggressive form of cancer. And there was an intimation that this aggressive form of cancer, there's no way that he could have had this aggressive form of cancer without having had treatment throughout his time in the White House. And had he had this form of treatment when he was in the White House, there's no way he could have had this form of treatment and continued to serve and been as active as he was without us noticing. He would have obviously he would have gotten gaunt. He would have missed a great amount of time. People would have had to filled in for him, had picked up his duties, and hence the clone. Okay.
Yeah.
Something would have had to fill in his place or somebody.
Right.
So that's where the clone comes from. Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's where that comes from.
I just thought his face looked a little bit different. Maybe he got a facelift.
Maybe. Or
But if you look at presidents, like every president, they look like they've aged. When you look at when they first entered office and when they leave, they all look like they've aged a lot. I'm sure because of all the stress.
Oh, I think he did. I think he looks like it, definitely. Because he went from looking like, he looked, I don't want to say he looked youthful by any means. He didn't. He looked like an old man, but he looked like what's his name's puppet by the end of the.
Yeah.
Who's the comedian who has the puppets?
I know who you're Jeff something.
Yeah. But he looked like his old man puppet.
Yeah.
By the end of his presidency, his term. Yeah. He looked horrible.
Yeah.
But that's what the presidency does to you.
Right.
You
that
just
stress. Yeah.
Yeah. That stress just kills you. You look at President Obama. He went in with, dark hair. He came out with white hair.
Yeah.
President Clinton, same thing.
Yeah.
The President Reagan after 2 terms, he went in. People can slaughter me for this, but he went in vibrant. He went in with lots of energy. He came out and he was a mess. You know?
Well, even Lincoln, when you look at his photos, he just looks, super like destroyed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just looks. Yeah.
Well, and he had a civil war on his hands. Too,
right. But he. Yeah.
Yeah. But I know what you mean.
Really bad.
The heavy is the head, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the office is, there's decisions to be made there that nobody else would know what it is you face.
Right.
Right. When you get into that office. But there's obviously you're faced with things that nobody else knows what it is you face. And it's a tight fraternity, right? There's a reason why, and nobody can understand it, right? When you get together for state funerals, you see these presidents get together and you think, oh, they're going to go at it. They are going to fight, oh my gosh, and then they sit together and they talk and they laugh. You're like, why is Obama talking to Trump? I thought they hated each other. No, they don't. Because they have the common office of the presidency to talk about. And the common, brethren of having to deal with administering to the nation. They know what that's like. That's no matter what walk of life you come from, you know what it's like to have sat in that chair and deal with those decisions and have that weight on your shoulders. You can relate to each other. Right. Doesn't matter, So that I think is more important than anything else. You have those men that have those few men that have all that in common. I think that's why it's easy for them to no matter what their political ideology is. I think that's why they get along so well. Because they can relate. And they're the only ones who can talk to themselves about their problems, right? Because who else are you going to talk to?
Yeah, true.
So, yeah. Our next story has to do with an interesting mystery in the San Francisco Bay Area as dead whales keep washing up in the San Francisco Bay Area. Local authorities are struggling to explain why the sudden and anomalous increase in whale deaths. Something unusual is stirring in the waters of the San Francisco Bay Area this year. An unprecedented influx of whales, 33 counted so far, compared to just 6 sightings in all of 2024. Even more alarming is the corresponding surge in whale deaths. 15 whales have been found dead since the beginning of the year, prompting concern and confusion among marine biologists. The phenomenon began just last month when a gray whale was discovered washed up on the shores of Black Sands Beach, part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. What's unfolding in San Francisco Bay right now is a very dynamic, evolving situation that is still very much under investigation. Giancarlo Riuli, a spokesperson for the Marine Mammal Center, told SF Gate, we're seeing staggering figures, and local scientists are still trying to get answers, he went on to say. So far, 14 of the deceased whales were gray whales, while one was identified as a rare juvenile mink. I believe it's a mink or minke whale. Researchers have collected samples from the animals in an effort to determine what caused their deaths. Preliminary investigations suggest that 3 of the whales may have died from vessel strikes, but the cause behind the remaining 12 deaths and the sudden spike in whale activity in the bay remains a mystery. Kind of a different story, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of seagoing creatures, we go to Loch Ness, or lake-bearing creatures.
Yeah.
Nessie hunters are back at Loch Ness for a new 4-day search. The event, known as The Quest, saw experts and enthusiasts from all over the world join in on the hunt. This year's search for the elusive Loch Ness monster, which took place last weekend, once again set out to uncover evidence of a large creature hiding in the depths of Scotland's most mysterious lake. For the first time, the expedition utilized remote-operated vehicles, or ROVs, along with baited camera traps equipped with GoPro cameras. Although Nessie herself failed to make an appearance, the operation still yielded some intriguing discoveries. Among them was the unexpected find of old cabling, remnants of strobe lighting equipment deployed in the 1970s by renowned Loch Ness monster hunter Dr. Robert Rines. The underwater cameras also captured rare footage of large fish, including pike and salmon, marking the first time such species have ever been filmed in Loch Ness. Researchers now argue that this supports the idea that the loch could sustain a large carnivorous creature, potentially strengthening the case for Nessie's existence. The excitement and buzz around this weekend has proven that the Loch Ness mystery is very much alive, said Nagina Ishak, who is general manager of the Loch Ness Center. We all want the same thing, to discover the secrets that lie beneath the loch, and we've been delighted to welcome so many people into the Loch Ness Center to enjoy the exhibition and deep scan boat trips across the weekend. The footage we have captured using the ROVs has just made us more determined than ever to continue our search for the truth, she went on to say. So there you go. All right. We have 2 stories left here, Mallie, including our palate cleanser. So we have 1 story and then our palate cleanser, and then we're done for the week.
Okie doke.
And they both include animals. Of course, because we're on an animal roll, right? Mm-hmm. All right. This first story, probably not what you want to find in your luggage.
Okay.
All right. Airport authorities discover 47 live vipers inside a man's luggage. Yeah. Well, and in fact, they even include a little visual that looks like spaghetti.
No, that's okay. I have a thing with snakes.
Oh, okay. All right. I won't show you then. Well, I showed everybody else, if you're watching.
I'm terrified of snakes.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
Animal smuggling is of major concern these days, but even veteran security officers were shocked by this discovery. According to reports, customs officials. I'll get that out, Mallie. Here, let me do this. Hold on. Mm-hmm.
That's why I liked living in Hawaii, because we didn't have snakes unless they fell off the plane. Like they were in like the wheel, and they like would fall in the tarmac, and there would be the news of the day.
So
but yeah, we didn't have snakes.
It was a total Sam Jackson deal.
Yeah.
Everybody was tired of those snakes on those planes.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. According to reports, customs officials at an airport in Mumbai, India, intercepted a suspicious man returning from Thailand on Sunday. Boy, that's a story, isn't it? Just a man in Mumbai coming back from Thailand with 47 snakes on a plane.
Yeah.
That sounds like a novel right there.
Yep.
Upon inspecting his luggage, they were stunned to find that he was attempting to smuggle, it was 52 live reptiles into the country. Of course. Why not? Among the illicit cargo were 3 spider-tailed horned vipers, 5 Asian leaf turtles, and a staggering 44 Indonesian pit vipers. All protected species and illegal to import without proper permits. My guess, he probably had a buyer. The shocking discovery echoes a similar incident from February when officials at the same airport found 5 Siamang gibbons stuffed inside a passenger's trolley bag. Just a few months earlier in November, 2 travelers were also arrested for trying to sneak in 12 exotic turtles from Bangkok. The things people do for cash. Animal smuggling through airports remains a serious and ongoing issue, with traffickers resorting to increasingly bizarre and sophisticated methods to evade detection. Well, they're not, because you're getting caught, right?
Exactly.
You can't put a turtle in your pants and get away with it, Mallie. Remember that. Exactly where these animals would have ended up if they hadn't been found remains unclear. I'll tell you where they'd be found. They'd either be found in a cage or in someone's soup.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yep. Well, with that, we need a palate cleanser, right?
Okay. Yes, please.
Let's get a feel-good story in here, shall we?
Yes, please.
We're going to Edmonton, Canada. I'm going to show you a picture here.
Okay.
This is Bitsy.
Aww.
Yeah, it's Bitsy right there. All right.
Wait, how many legs does it have?
See, here's the trick. That's
is that part of the story?
Yeah, that's part of the story, right? So how many do you think? Here, I'm going to hold the picture one more time.
Well, 6?
Yes.
I couldn't tell if that one was its tail or a foot, but it looks like a foot.
Yes. Bitsy has 6 legs. You got it. Bitsy, the 6-legged cat, was found in Edmonton, Canada, and has become a local celebrity. The unusual feline, named Bitsy, is certainly one of the most unique cats that rescue workers had ever seen. The 6-legged cat originally came to the attention of the Edmonton-based cat rescue Forget Me Not.
That's cute.
When a member of the public sent an email to report seeing the stray feline prowling the area. Christine Colton, who's the organization's founder and executive director, initially couldn't believe it. There's no way that there's a cat with extra legs, she said. Cats only have 4 legs. Then I got the pictures and went, oh my God, this cat has extra legs. After bringing the cat home, it soon became apparent that Bitsy, named after an itsy bitsy spider.
Got it.
Yep. Must have absorbed one of her litter mates while still in the womb, resulting in 2 extra legs and a second pelvis.
Oh.
Yeah. Itsy Bitsy has extra parts.
It ate its twin.
It consumed its twin in the womb. I had a little bit of a cry when I first brought her in, said Colton, because it was just so overwhelming, thinking, where is this going to take us? Will we be able to help her? Will we be able to fix this? Fortunately, veterinarians at Windermere Veterinary Hospital were ultimately able to significantly improve the cat's quality of life by surgically removing 3 of her limbs. Wait, so
then it's left with 3?
she's a three-legged cat now? Within less than a day, Bitsy was up using the litter box, drinking the water all by herself, said Colton. So we really couldn't have asked for a better outcome. There's some pictures.
A better outcome. It's missing now. When it was 6, it came out with 3.
Yeah, wait a minute.
The way that the 2 were attached at the hip, maybe they had to remove
I think so, yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Or they couldn't count.
Maybe they have problems with numbers in Canada. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they went, oops.
Maybe that's the Canadian exchange rate for legs.
Someone removed 2 and the other one came in to wrap it up and they thought that they had to remove 1.
That could be. Well, I tell you what, I'll post this in the description of the program. You can do the math yourself. And
As long as it's healthy.
that's right. As long as Bitsy's healthy. And actually here's a better picture so you can see for yourself, Mel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I could see why maybe, yeah.
Why they needed to do the surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it up for adoption now?
That's a good question. I will post the video and people can watch and they can see whether Bitsy's up for adoption or not. Maybe they chose to hold on to Bitsy.
Ah.
Yeah. I don't know. If you went through all that trouble to save Bitsy's life, wouldn't you want to keep her?
Maybe they are.
Yeah. We'll find out. We'll it's to be continued, I guess.
There we go.
Somebody asked in the comments of this article, does anyone remember the 6-legged deer that was found about 20 years ago? Somewhere in rural America, a dude hit a deer with his truck and discovered it had 6 legs. It had extra appendages off the back of its hind leg. Word got out and the dude was eventually interviewed by the news. They asked him questions about it and all he could really say was that it tasted delicious.
Oh.
Oh no.
Jeez.
How could he write that? Edit, not sure which was worse, that he ate roadkill or that he ate a mutated animal. So the guy ruined the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel good to, oh, good God.
Yeah. So the guy was like, oh, by the way, I just want to piss all over your story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was a wah wah.
Wah, wah. It's like, yeah, by the way, do you remember what that deer tasted like? Does anybody have any left in its freezer? Just curious. Oh, Bitsy. Let's try not to think about the deer anymore. Let's take a look at Bitsy one more time. There's Bitsy.
Oh.
No, Bitsy. Itsy bitsy 3-legged cat. I mean, we think it's 3-legged now. Yeah. Actually, there's, in college we had a 3-legged dog, Patches. Patches loved beer. He did. I mean, we couldn't keep him away from the beer. But he loved beer. And if you only had 3 legs too, you'd get as much beer as you could stomach. Yeah. But he was a hit at keg parties. I know people are like, that's abuse. No. He paid for the cup.
Jeez.
Just saying. All right. All right, folks, with that, we should tell you what's going on tomorrow on the big show. Tomorrow on the big show. Now, you ready for this?
Yep.
We're about to get scientific and we're about to get skeptical.
Okay.
Tomorrow on the big show, we are talking with the Spooky Science Sisters as they have a new book out. And we are going to cover it right here on the big program.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Sounds pretty cool.
Sounds pretty cool. Tomorrow on the big program, Megan Ankney. I always double clutch when I go to say her name because I want to make sure I say her name right. Megan Ankney. And Paige Miller will be with us. And they have a new book out there called Spooky Science. dissecting the mysteries of ghosts, cryptids, aliens, and other oddities.
Okay.
And they are actual scientists.
Oh.
Yeah. This isn't just two paranormal people
Right.
flexing their paranormal knowledge and putting a book out there.
Mm-hmm.
These are two actual scientists that have an interest in the paranormal who have broken down pretty much everything in the paranormal and scientifically telling us why or why it doesn't exist.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is tomorrow on the big program. And they have their own podcast, by the way. We do talk about their podcast. And they go into other things that may be of myth. Things like vampires, Mothman, Bloody Mary, things like that. So we do talk about Bloody Mary as well.
Right.
Yeah. It's a very interesting program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's tomorrow on the big program, the Spooky Science Sisters, right here on Darkness Radio.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it's tomorrow. All right. So with that, Mallie, we bid everybody adieu today. We did just a couple more notes before we let people go. The Darkness Radio Apple app, again, available right now for iOS 18. I believe around 18.5 is the latest version right now. If you don't have it, get it for your Apple device or update it if you haven't updated it yet. Update it and make sure you get it on your device if you're not getting your podcasts any other way. Or if you just want the Darkness Radio Apple app to have all things Darkness Radio in your life. That's a good way of doing it. And get closer to Darkness Radio. That's a good way of putting it. If you're listening to this podcast and not seeing the video of it, there's a good way to see the video of it. Go to YouTube, look up the original Darkness Radio, and you can see the video of this podcast. Please like and subscribe. We're looking for you to subscribe to the channel. We want you in our little video world. So come on and join us over there on YouTube, the original Darkness Radio. There's another way to find us as well on video. You can see the video and audio all in one spot by going to the website, darknessradioshow.com. Click on the show that you're wanting to see the video of or listen to the audio of, and they're all in one place at darknessradioshow.com. The executive producer of today's show is Troy Palmer. Thank you, Troy, for everything you do. And I believe that's it. That's it for today.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So tomorrow, Spooky Science Sisters. We'll be getting skeptical on all things paranormal tomorrow on the big program. For Mallie Fox, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for joining us today on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio.